Hello, this is Pauline Jennings. Welcome to Musician Talk. Stay connected anywhere your RV takes you with King Connectivity products. Available at kingconnect.com. King Wi-Fi extender products are built for both speed and distance to optimize your local Wi-Fi source to ensure you get the best internet experience on the go. No Wi-Fi available? No problem. King completes your mobile connectivity solution with the King Extend. The King Extend increases your cellular signal up to 32 times, and it doesn't require any monthly plan to use. Just set it up, and within minutes receive a stronger, more reliable cell signal wherever your mobile adventure takes you. Explore the best of RV connectivity solutions today, Wi-Fi and cellular LTE at kingconnect.com. You can also find there solutions for TV on the go. King, simply better by design. My guests today are Dave and Jacqueline Hudson. They are the husband and wife acoustic duo called the Border Hookups. With their mix of crafted harmonies and unique take on cover songs as well as a mix of catchy originals, the Hookups have entertained crowds across Minnesota and beyond, covering such musical acts as Kenny Chesney, the Cranberries, Maroon 5, and many more. With the Border Hookups, no two shows are ever the same. Dave has played stages across North America and throughout the Caribbean. Jacqueline, a newcomer to the music scene, brings to the stage her unique musical style based on her Canadian roots. It's time to find out more. Let's talk to Dave and Jacqueline Hudson. Hi, Dave. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Great.
That's good. And where am I finding you? We do this interview via Zoom, and so I can see that you're in your truck. What's going on?
Well, right now we're in Cross Lake, Minnesota. We live up here for the summer, and when we're not traveling, we're playing shows up here. We just got off the road for about a week and a half of moving around and shooting more videos. We're back in Cross Lake now.
Awesome. I love Cross Lake. So you have not been playing gigs since this COVID pandemic started?
We didn't play for 3 months.
Okay.
Everything came to a screeching halt for 3 months. And then slowly they started to come back. A lot of the ones that canceled got picked up by other venues. So now They're starting to come back a little bit.
And how are those going? Are you outside all the time? Are you inside? How are you being safe and careful, or how are the venues being safe and careful?
Most of our shows are outside. There are a lot of patios up here in the Cross Lake area, so we're really lucky. We're fortunate that way. We have a couple of venues where we've played inside. They have they're breweries, and so they're all open to the outdoors, and they have a lot of social distancing measures in place, as well as the hand sanitizer and everything. So they've been really, really good.
Good. So you felt safe when you've played?
We have.
Oh, good. Well, I am so fascinated by the story that I do not know, that is the Border Hookups. I just have these ideas in my head of how you met and how you got singing together. And so I just want you to kind of take me from the inception, when you guys met, to now.
I'll start.
Okay, great.
I saw Dave play a show probably 12 years ago, something like that. And I just thought that he was really talented, and I would go to some of his shows here and there with friends, family, whatnot. And so we were Facebook friends and had known each other for quite some time. And I actually tried to set him up with a friend of mine when we were out at one of his shows one night, and I just wasn't thinking that I was ready for a relationship. And so I thought, well, here's a really great guy, and my friend is awesome, so let's set the two of them up. Well, they are good friends, but Dave and I we connected so much better.
What convinced you that you were ready for a relationship? Dave. Perfect answer. So then what? So were you living in the same vicinity, or how'd that go?
Well, oddly enough, back in the early 2000s, I lived in a townhouse in Apple Valley, and she lived in a house in Apple Valley, and we were probably a 1.5 to 2 minute walk away from each other down a path. We didn't know that, and Jacqueline always says that she would know if she had run into me because at the time I had a boxer and a pig. So she would remember, and I would walk my pig and my boxer down the trails all the time. So she said she would remember if we had met. So apparently we never met.
Okay, so what comes to mind as this was meant to be? And the second thing that comes to mind, sidebar, pig?
Yes, Gibby. I had Gibby for about 4 years. Yep, and then I put him on a petting farm when I went down and worked, did Katrina relief, and started to travel the country. And so he went into a petting farm in Faribault.
Well, that's nice that he got to go to a petting zoo or petting
Yes.
farm. All right, so you're in Apple Valley together, and you start dating, I assume. And when did the music come into the relationship?
Well, I had always loved music, which, like I said, is one of the reasons why I was kind of drawn to Dave. But I had never been a singer. I had never been in choir or sang in the church or anything like that. And so I would just make my family listen to me, basically, singing around all of them. And so when Dave and I started dating, I was very careful to not sing in front of him because here he was a professional and I didn't want to sing and sound stupid and everything. So I didn't sing. And so one day I was singing. I didn't realize that he was listening to me.
She was singing in the kitchen, and I was in the living room. And I just said to her, why don't you come and do one song with me just for fun? And partly because I would go play these shows, and I always felt bad for Jacqueline because she would be sitting in the audience the whole night. And I got to be honest with you, I couldn't do that. And so I was like, you know what? You might as well, if you're at all of these shows, I might as well teach you, how to carry gear back to the car late at night, how to eat, crummy gas station food, and get home at 3 a.m. as the sun's coming up.
The joys of gigging. And I have sat at many, many, many tables in bars alone. I have learned to be a drum tech, that is for sure.
I bet.
So I get it. Aside from the carrying the gear and staying up late and eating the bad food, how'd you get the confidence to start singing on stage if you hadn't done that?
I thought of it as a challenge. When he first asked me, I said, absolutely not. I can't do that. And then I started to really think about it, and I thought, well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I just try? I mean, here's a challenge. I felt like he was challenging me to do it. So then I did, and I was so scared. And
yeah.
I felt, it was horrible. The first couple of times I did it, I felt like I was so scared that it wasn't even fun. So I had to really think about it. Do I really want to continue on with this? And it took a couple more times. And after that, I didn't feel any fear. And I was working another job that was a very stressful job, managing departments in a clinic. And I had 40 employees that I managed. And so I would go from that job to a gig and play with him. And it just felt so good to be doing something that was so creative and that people were enjoying. And the feedback that we were getting was so positive that I felt like here was my stress reliever from my job.
Why were you afraid?
I was mainly afraid because Dave was an established musician, and I didn't want to get up there and have people think that I was just up there because I was his girlfriend at the time, and I didn't want to bring his show down.
Understand. What turned that fear around after the first couple gigs?
I think I just got more used to it, and like I said, the feedback I think from people really helped.
Here's the thing that Jacqueline went through is I, since college, worked my way up slowly, coffee houses, bigger. She went straight from having never been on stage to playing Taste of Lakeville, playing Mall of America stuff. So she never got that slow ramp up, getting used to being in front of people.
Yeah.
She went from 0 to 60 overnight. And so that took a lot of guts in my
It sure
opinion.
did. So this first song that you picked called Chasing Cars, it's a cover that you do of a Snow Patrol song. And I'm just curious why you chose this song to play today.
To be honest with you, one of the reasons is because it's one of the only ones we have recorded. We just haven't recorded. We've been so busy with everything else.
Well, it sounds great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's take a listen.
Do it all, everything on our own.
We don't need anything or anyone. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world?
Don't quite know how to say how I feel.
Those three words are said too much. They're not enough. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me your garden that's bursting into life. Let's waste time chasing cars around our heads. I need your grace to remind me to find my own. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me your garden that's bursting into life. All that I am, all that I ever was, is here in your perfect eyes. They're all I can see.
Don't know where, confused about how as well. Know that these things will never change for us at all. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? If I lay here, yeah, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's a beautiful studio out in the middle of nowhere in Northfield, Minnesota. 55057. We're the Border Hookups and we love being here. Would you lie with me and
forget the world.
This is Pauline Jennings, and you're listening to Musician Talk. My guests today are Dave and Jacqueline Hudson, and you just heard their cover of a Snow Patrol song called Chasing Cars. I love this song. I love this song.
We use that song a lot of times to end a lot of our shows, because it's nice to have a song where you don't just come out of it and say, okay, we're done now. So we end it by talking to the crowd as we're still playing it, and then we come out of it, and I throw her for a loop when I would stop playing, and we'd end it a cappella. And to her credit, she stayed with it. She didn't stop singing, because this is one thing I'd always say is never stop playing. Never stop singing. We'll cover it. Just keep going, and we'll cover it. And that's probably Bob Swanson in the back of my head from the Northfield Boys Chorus, where he would just be like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And, you know, you learn a lot from that guy.
No kidding. I wanted to know about your practicing together and how you go about practicing, and also how you go about writing your originals. Right
now, we it's going to sound funny, but we practice outside, because
Nice.
our camper is only 26 feet long. There's not a lot of room in there. So what we do is Jacqueline plays a drum pedal called a wazinator. It looks like a big wooden guitar pick.
It's a stomp box.
It's a stomp box. So she plays that. So we run a speaker outside so we can hear that, because unplugged, you don't hear it. And we practice in front of our camper. And right now we're living on 425 acres of wilderness, and there's
Wow.
nobody there. So we could crank it as loud as we wanted, and nobody'd hear it. So we practice outside.
That's perfect. And do you have a set time that you practice, or do you, anybody else that doesn't live together, right? They have to check schedules and all that kind of thing. So do you just at a drop of a hat, just one of you decides, let's just practice?
No, it's usually me trying to schedule everything, and then I'm the one that says, we absolutely have to practice. And I just kind of keep on it until we find a time, and I say, we have to, because I'm more of a scheduled person, and I like to have things written out as far as our schedule for the week, and it really helps us to be able to stay on task.
I was going to say, one thing we actually do in this lifestyle of RVing is we have to write down plans for the week, because otherwise we're so willy-nilly, like, oh, now we're doing this, now we're doing this. Like today, I've been editing the next episode all day. And if I don't set those times to edit and to reshoot and to do our interviews and our outros and our intros, you'll hit Sunday and you won't even realize that where the time went. So we actually have to schedule our non-scheduled time, because otherwise we miss out on a lot of productivity.
You talked about editing, you talked about shooting video. So tell me about your show that you have on YouTube.
It's called the Border Hookups Go RVing, and it's all about our travels, and there's some music mixed in. One struggle we have is that we've been in the same spot since April, except moving around a little bit. So content is tough for us, but we find content here. We just got back from Michigan and Wisconsin. We shot there. We had a breakdown on the way back from Wisconsin.
Oh no.
And our camper almost caught on fire. So that is the episode that we're editing right now. We shot that in Wisconsin, and now we're editing that down, and that'll come out. Hoping we try to shoot for Sunday nights as best we can. Every now and then we get a hiccup to do Monday night, but that's the fallback. But we try to do Sundays.
Wow. So you are in your RV full time. How did that come about?
We just really wanted to experience life, and we talked about ways that we could do that. And as I mentioned earlier, I had this job that was very stressful, and it was a 24/7 job. So I had been on call 24/7 for 8 years, and we just wanted to stray away from all of that. And Dave suggested watching a video on somebody that had remodeled a bus. And so we sat down to watch it, and afterwards he just looked at me and said, would you ever do something like that? Thinking that I would say no way. And I said, absolutely. How can we do this? And both of us grew up camping. So my dad is a huge outdoorsman. I'm from Canada, northern Manitoba. So I grew up in the wilderness, and Dave's family, his dad was a big camper. as well. And so we both love the outdoors, and we just started really researching, and we actually researched and planned for 2 years straight before we were able to get out on the road.
The thing that got me thinking about it is I was down at Froggy's one day and I was hanging out with a good friend of ours, Mark Ross. And he said he read an article about how people work and work and work until they hit retirement age, say 70, whatever, 65, 70, but their best years when they could actually go out and do the stuff, go hiking, mountain biking, kayaking, all these things, they can't really do it anymore. So they've given their best years to working as opposed to when they can really get out and do the stuff. So he said what they're saying is try to meet in the middle. If you can figure out a way to get out there earlier and still keep working while you're out there doing these things. And so that's what we're doing, is we still work, but we're living the very free adventure lifestyle while we do it.
That is brilliant. Okay, first of all, I'm jealous, and I got to believe most of the people out there over X number of years are all sitting there just wishing they could do the same, because that sounds lovely.
And we're sitting in the back of our truck. What does that tell you?
Well, you know what I love is the flexibility of that. So just, we tried Zoom a couple different places, and they got into their truck to get into a hotspot, and this is working perfectly. So thank you so much for being flexible. And I got to believe that being flexible comes with the territory when you're living on the road and living in a camper. Yeah.
Yes, very much.
With each other too, I got to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we have to move on from this. I want to talk about your second song called Free, which is an original song that, who wrote? Both of you, or?
No, Dave wrote that song.
It's a song that I had the chords and the melody for a long time. And this version is actually the third full set of lyrics that I had written for that song. But none of them until this moment had really, I didn't want to stay with them. I didn't feel it. They felt forced. Like I was trying to put a, square peg in a round hole. And then I was at the kitchen table one day and Jacqueline was in there, and I just said, it's all about her in this case, going out on the road, thinking that I would never want to do that. And then she comes back at the end and says, well, would you want to do this? And I'm like, I'll grab my stuff. Let's get going. Why didn't you ask 6 months ago? I would have gone with you. So it's all about the female wanting to go out and do that stuff.
And honestly, Dave was the one that introduced me to the idea of traveling and being out on the road, but I was the one that pushed it really hard.
It was probably one of the first originals that we did together.
All right, well, that's a perfect setup. Let's take a listen to Free, an original song written by Dave, and he's also on the guitar and vocals, and Jacqueline is also on vocals with him. So let's take a listen.
She hit the open road to find her way. I'm sure it's all get out, she was never meant to stay. All signs pointed west, so she took too hot to mean. Saddle up your horses, boys, dead grasses will turn to green. Never one to know, not to roll past go again, my girl, sure, yeah, she'll be. Bird in hand, hell no, Sunday tries to slow, you can't deny an endless sky. The sirens are all saying sweetly, hallelujah, I am free. Wing wanderlust rescued me and sent me on my way. Not a minute or two too late. Rearview mirrors tossed aside, the line, the ditches, the road, dreams die. Never to breathe regret, never to second guess. And as she rounds a corner, another sunrise clearly makes the grade. There's one more reason to ditch this life, one more reason to not have stayed. Well, as the miles roll past, the mind is cash, feet begin to tire. Did she wrongly leave behind all the sacred and desired? She clearly never thought to ask, where do you stand in life? I said to her, I'll grab my things, yeah, let's get out of here tonight. Never one to know, not to roll past go a gambling girl, sure as yeah she'll be. Bird in hand, hell no, Sunday drives too slow, you can't deny an endless sky, and sirens are all singing sweetly, hallelujah, I am free, wing wanderlust rescued me and sent me on my way, not a minute or two too late. Rearview mirrors tossed aside, the line, the ditches where old dreams died, never to breathe regret, never to second guess. And as she rounds a corner, another sunset clearly makes the grade. There's one more reason to ditch this life, yeah, one more reason to not have stayed.
This is Pauline Jennings, and you're listening to Musician Talk. My guests today are Dave and Jacqueline Hudson, who make up the band The Border Hookups. You just heard their original song called Free, with both of them on vocals and Dave on guitar. I want to talk about your singing. And I sang with a co-lead singer in a band for many years. So I really tuned into the harmonizing, and I love you guys start words together. Your vowels are the same. Your dynamics are the same. You are so plugged into what each other is doing vocally. That's not easy, and I respect that talent to be able to do that. It's just lovely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to get a little philosophical here on music mattering in our lives and how music matters in our lives. And seeing as you're newer to this game, not brand new by any means now, but what has music brought you since you started getting on that stage and singing?
I think it has definitely brought me confidence, a ton of confidence. I felt like I was a pretty confident person before, but this has just really made that even more evident. And I have no problem now going into a large group of people and being able to talk to everybody there and feeling like I can hold my own, I guess.
Those skills have translated to other parts of your life.
Yes, absolutely.
And how about more globally, as far as, you're out there gigging and you're playing music for people? Why do you think that matters, to do that in your life?
Well, music is huge for just about everybody. I did meet one person once who told me that she does not like music and she won't listen to music, and she hates music, which I thought was very interesting. But I know, but everybody else, people will come up after a show or after a particular song and they'll say, gosh, that song really meant a lot to me, and they'll have a memory tied to it. And it's so important for people, and that just makes me feel really good that I'm having some sort of impact. My life is more about bringing value now to people in everything I do. Performing, I find that I'm bringing value to people.
That's spot on. I love that. And Dave, I want you to crystallize for me how music has mattered in your relationship.
You spend a lot of time together.
Mm-hmm.
And I had somebody ask me the other day, how do you manage to live in a small camper, be on the road, in the truck, pulling the camper, being on stage, practicing, we're health coaches together, and it's not hard. I like the fact that she gets joy from singing and being on stage, so she gets to experience it. When we played Defeated Jesse James days, I really wanted her to have the opportunity to know what it felt like, to feel big monitors coming back at her, to feel what it feels like on the back of your legs, to feel a kick drum compressing, to know what it sounds like when it's coming out of those main speakers and it's like riding a bull as it kicks off. And I wanted her to experience all of that sensation. And I was so happy that she got done, and she was like, let's do it again next week. Let's do it again tomorrow.
It was fantastic.
There's nothing like it. There really isn't. And I love that you get joy out of her joy. That is how you build great relationships, is having that back and forth, really digging what the other person does, right? And getting joy out of them happy, as opposed to being resentful about it or something. And you both have beautiful, I mean, it's just so obvious that you have beautiful hearts, and what a great thing that you found each other. I love that.
It worked out great.
All right. So worst gig, we don't have much time left here. Best gig, worst gig. We'll start with worst gig so that we can end with something good.
I was playing in Cross Lake, and I inhaled a bee in the middle of a song, and I ended up in the emergency room, drugged up with having bee parts pulled out of me. So that was the worst.
Yes.
One of my favorites is actually where we are right now, is Moonlight Bay. And I like the crowd here. I like the outdoor stage here, and I love the load in here, because you pull your car up stage level to where you're playing. And
Nice.
And I'm sure that you guys, as being musicians, can attest to load-ins are everything. Because if you have to use stairs, wait for elevators, go load through a crowd, it's horrible.
Yes.
But this is slick. You're in and out like that.
That is so funny. I've had a couple people tell me that their best gigs had to do with setup, the ease of setup, as opposed to, it was the best gig. I sang the best of my life. I had 50,000 people, whatever. Nope, it's the load in. I like that.
Yeah.
I like to ask what you've learned from your worst gig, but I don't know that there's much to learn about a bee going in your mouth. That is awful.
You keep your mouth close to the microphone.
There you go. Well, we are out of time, and before we wrap up, I want you to let me know, and everybody out there know, where we can find your video series, where we can find your music, where we can buy your music.
We are on Facebook and on Instagram. We are the Border Hookups. All of our schedules are posted on our website, which is theborderhookups.com. And our video series is on YouTube, and our channel name is the Border Hookups Go RVing.
I subscribed today, so I'm excited to see what you guys do and what you have to offer. Thank you so much for visiting with me today. It was really great to get to know you guys and to hear what you've been up to.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely.
So nice of you to have us on.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you to King for sponsoring today's show. Thanks so much to the Border Hookups, Dave and Jacqueline Hudson, for sharing part of their musical journey with us today. And mostly, thanks to all of you for listening to Musician Talk on KYMN. You have a terrific day.